Hey, welcome in, everyone. Two great guests tonight talking about what's coming our way here in the Delaware Valley. On the ballot in November, this proposal to raise the minimum wage to $8.25 an hour, then index it to inflation. Michael Saltzman, question for you. Your group did this self-funded study. I guess the coverage of that is a little bit biased. And it says that raising this minimum wage would cost the state about 4,700 jobs. So really, the McDonald's of the world and the others, they're not going to hire as many people if they have to pay $1 more?
Well, I think the way it works is this, and there was actually a range. It was anywhere from 1,600 to 4,700, depending on the response. But I think there are some businesses that may have to lay off employees, but there are others where it's going to happen more gradually. And if you're a grocery store, you may opt to go for technology that lets customers bag their own groceries. Or if you're a restaurant, maybe you have servers bust their own tables. And I want to return real quick to this issue of fast food restaurants in New Jersey, because that is an important study. The other part of that story is that actually 6 years after that study was published in a place called the American Economic Review, it was refuted in the same journal that published it. And the problem is the economists that did that original study were calling restaurant managers, and they were getting really variable numbers. And so what happened is there was a follow-up study that looked at the actual payroll data. And when they did that, they found that when the minimum wage went up in New Jersey, employment did decrease. And so that study really doesn't prove anything except that you have to be careful when you're collecting
All right,
data.
Gordon, let me ask you this, though. Here's what I see. And I just had this experience in a restaurant the other night and noticed it. I haven't noticed it across the board, that waiters now, servers, are doing some of the busing work, or more of it, I think. So could you see if you do something like this, he's right, what employers are going to do, go to technology more, and they're going to have people do a job and a half. You're not just going to be a server, you're going to do some of this other stuff. We're going to cut jobs somehow or another here.
Well, I think, again, the evidence over time, over the long period, shows that the increasing the minimum wage neither increases or decreases employment. It's really close. And when you're talking
your
about...
group is out there saying that it's going to create thousands of jobs. You put out a report that said that it's going to create, I think, 1,500 new jobs. Well, so are you not standing by that now?
Well, if you look at the expenditure that will be immediate and local of the increased income to people who badly need it, there are studies, there are models that suggest it will increase employment. Yes, by a very small number. We're talking about an economy in New Jersey which employs 4 million people. So when we're talking about studies that show 1,500 or 1,600 jobs, that is a very, very suspiciously precise number on the that happens to support whatever position you're taking.
Well, when you describe those
let me bring
jobs
both of you back out of the studies for a moment here and ask you here, is a big argument on your side that you will be seeing played out in coming months as we see more ads, some kind of fairness ad? The president's going to talk about this tomorrow. In other words, broad fairness. How can we expect people to get up every day, do these jobs that are difficult, et cetera, and not be paid, not a living wage? I know you resist that. But some fairness argument. Is that it, or is it just pure economics?
I think fairness is a part of it, yes.
Okay, tell us, how's it fair? How's it fair to the businessman to saddle them, though, with this societal burden?
Here's what we want. We want people in the United States to work for their living.
Right.
We want to encourage people to work. The Earned Income Tax Credit rewards people in certain categories for doing that.
Not enough, though.
Not enough. Okay. It represents, in fact, a subsidy by the rest of us to employers.
What about that? We hear that all the time with Walmart. Walmart is the biggest, more than the fast food restaurants. We hear this argument both on health insurance and on an issue like this, that they benefit and the rest of us pay for it. They keep wages down. People have nothing else. They work a Walmart shop, and we pay for it, all of us.
I think what you have to look at is, at the end of the day, if what we want to see is people be able to get their start in the workforce and have entry-level experience.
Yeah, but answer that question. Are we subsidizing Walmart and McDonald's and all these others, Michael?
I don't think we're subsidizing those companies. I think what we're doing is we're providing a supplement to the wages of low-income employees so that we can make sure that they still get that entry-level experience. And I think when you talk about the McDonald's and Walmarts of the world, I mean, there's been a lot of focus on them recently with these protests. If the CEOs of those companies took a 100% pay cut, you could give each of their employees a raise in the area of hundredths of a cent per hour. And so this idea that there are somehow these companies out there that that are purposely keeping these wages down, these are companies that are providing opportunities.
What's the CEO's wages got to do with the employees' wages? We're not calling for people to.
I would ask you to talk to your union friends in the state who have
Wait a minute, you're talking to me. You're not talking to people who may have the same position on this issue. I don't take that position.
There's a campaign about raising the wage in New Jersey that has been looking at salaries of CEOs and comparing these to salaries of entry-level employees. This has been happening across the country. This is not a conversation we're pushing. It's a conversation that advocates for increasing the minimum wage are pushing.
That's fine, but I'm here pushing the minimum wage for other reasons. You need to talk to the people who are using
we'll
that
get
as
them.
the
Well, you said
as we
earlier
get
that it wasn't
closer
about
to the
raising
election.
reducing poverty either, but these are both arguments that proponents for a higher minimum wage have been pushing nationwide, including in New Jersey.
Well, that's fine, but when we get back to the earned income tax credit, because to your question, yes, the truth is that we are, as taxpayers, paying for what we would hope would be paid for by the employer.
But why should they have to do that, though? It's a capitalist
because
system.
they want people to work for them, and the government is...
Right, but people are willing to work for them at these wages.
And the government has produced a program that allows people to work at low wages and have that low wage subsidized by the taxpayers through the earned income tax credit. That's the benefit of employers of large numbers of minimum wage workers. So it does represent a subsidy, and maybe there are some high percentage or some low percentage, we don't know, of people who take those jobs because people are anxious to get any job in this kind of an economy, right?
Parting question in for you, the biggest argument that you want people to know, and we'll do this as we get closer to November in 30 seconds, what's the biggest argument why they should vote against this?
I think what they need to know is that increasing the minimum wage is not going to reduce poverty in the state. What it is going to do is make it even more difficult for entry-level employees to find
and
a
Gordon,
job.
biggest reason why they should vote for it?
It'll give people a chance who are now working at the lowest levels in our economy to have a higher income and help the New Jersey economy with that.
Well put, guys.
money.
Thanks very much for coming out tonight. To be continued. Coming up here on DomTime, Montgomery County says yes, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, to same-sex marriage. I'll tell you what happened today. Hey, today in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, the dominoes continue to fall from what Kathleen Kane, the Attorney General, did a couple weeks ago. Remember when she went to the Constitution Center and said, hey, I'm not going to enforce Pennsylvania's law against same-sex marriage. Today in Montgomery County, they did not fully give a license to a gay couple that wanted to get it. That will come in the future, but they went on record saying that they are in favor of this based upon what the Attorney General said. So the Attorney General doesn't do her job, doesn't enforce the laws. Now you have chaos breaking out in Pennsylvania. At 12 o'clock tomorrow on my show and 12:10 a.m., we'll talk about it with Montgomery County. See you tomorrow night at 7 on DomTime.